So without further ado, I'll introduce. We've got Thomas here. He's one of the lead developers for CM.com and be talking a little bit about his experience. And then we also have Wesley Niels here from Dept Agency, right around the corner, it feels like.
Yes.
And he'll also be sharing a bit more. And I'm Sierra. Actually, I'm not sure if I introduced myself before, so I'm leading in the Benelux. And I'll be asking some questions. I'll ask you guys questions, but everyone in the room who has Cloudflare experience can also answer or ask questions to the panelists, and we'll keep this as an open conversation. And there is some very nice chocolate for all the people who contribute. Good. Okay, so I'll take a seat and get on to the first question. I think I'll start with something Cloudflare.
Sure.
And you guys have been Cloudflare customers for many years. What have been some of the key reasons that you've stuck around and stayed with Cloudflare for different use cases?
Good question.
All right.
First of all, congratulations, because it's the birthday of Cloudflare, as I've heard. So
Absolutely
yes,
is the birthday
12
of
12
Cloudflare.
here, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, not that long around, but one of the reasons is, of course, from a technology perspective.
Mm-hmm.
So what we do, we build a lot of websites and applications for our clients. And main reason in the beginning was using a CDN.
Okay.
And yeah, that Cloudflare is of course one of the specialists in providing CDN solutions and making the websites faster. And next to that, of course, security. So that is really important. But what is really important for us as well is that we are a partner of Cloudflare, and we love to have like a partner that thinks along with us, helps us, supports us, and it's not only about revenue. It's also about partnering up together and making things better for the world.
Yeah. Oh, I like that. Making the internet better, I think, is save the internet. That's my password on a lot of things. Just kidding. Very good. Okay. Well, thanks, Wesley. Thomas, any thoughts for you on CM.com?
Well, I think it's actually quite similar to what Wesley said. Really, the partnership, that's something that we really value.
Okay.
So yeah, like said, not really getting targets. It's about getting to know us and having that personal connection, getting to know us as a company, getting to know our product suite, and I think that's really valuable.
Okay, no, good to hear. Well, we have some customers in the room. Does anyone want to share key reasons that they started with Cloudflare or that they stuck around? Anything in particular?
Well,
Okay.
I'm Juba from Austria. Basically, Cloudflare offers a premium level of security from the beginning. We start as a startup, and we can have the top cutting edge basically technology from the beginning.
Yeah.
We stick with Cloudflare because there is no replacement.
Okay, so just to summarize for those listening, you're a startup, and because we have some of the flexible plans for security, no matter how big or small, that helped you guys accelerate a bit.
Definitely.
No, that's great to hear. I think we like that story a lot with our free customers and our business customers and all of the above. And excellent chocolate to start. Good. Any other stories to share? Yeah.
We are using Cloudflare for 4 years now.
Okay.
We started when we evaluated against other CDN. Primarily for CDN, that's what we had a fast platform. And we were onboarding customers almost on a monthly basis, and we wanted everything to be automated.
Yeah.
So Cloudflare had this API-based approach with which we could easily provision our resources. So that was one of the primary deciding factors for
Oh, so automation made the difference and making your life a little easier. Well, CM.com knows all about onboarding new customers via API, so that's great to hear.
But I'm curious about establishing this partnership, so I would like to hear more about that. You also want to go in that direction.
Oh, great.
We are not hearing that from you.
Oh, Well, you have a lot of Cloudflareans in the room today, so you're definitely going to hear about that. So no, glad to hear it. Okay, well, how about question number 2? So we all go through technical challenges, and I'm sure that there are tons, right? But are there any that stood out for the year of 2022 or 2021 as key security challenges that you are proud to have overcome? Maybe you could tell us a little bit about those.
Sure, I'll start.
Yeah, sure.
I think like a lot of people here, well, we started 3 years ago together with Cloudflare. Our introduction actually came after a DDoS, right? So you hear that a lot, either DDoS or CDN. You start small and then you roll into the ecosystem and you see more and more potential. So for us as a company, we really like to work from offices, right? But of course, in COVID, working from home, so that's really a challenge. The last couple of years. Also transitioning from a VPN to the zero trust network access. Yeah, that was one of the things for us. That was really as a company, we also make quite some acquisitions. I think we've had 9 over the last couple of years. The first thing, well, of course, is a new company, then what, right? So if you can really easily onboard a new company or the edge, right, the attack surface, by enabling Cloudflare, that was really,
Oh, excellent. So you got to grow a little bit more, keep buying new businesses. I think you guys have broken some records in regards to growth, right? In this region?
Yeah, so we recently touched 1,000 employees as well. So that's really a nice milestone as well,
Yeah, no, really, really good.
Yeah, well, maybe it's a little bit boring, but I'm coming back to the DDoS story again. So you have to understand that the websites that we build are somehow high profile. So there are a lot of, it's a tech service really, really big, like football club websites, maybe even political websites. And what we saw is like a big increase in the last years of DDoS attacks, especially coming from specific regions. And that is one of the things that is a challenge for us. Making sure that everything is secure as possible and that websites keep on running, because we have SLAs with our clients and they don't care about Cloudflare, they don't care about where it's running. So that is really important for us, and that was a big technical challenge. And I think Cloudflare helped a lot with that.
Oh, that's really good to hear. Cool. Does anyone in the audience have any intriguing stories of key security challenges that you've been going through? Okay.
No, I've been using Cloudflare probably, well, not for 12 years, but since maybe it's 10. So
okay.
It's been there since the beginning.
I said you're the OG Cloudflare customer.
So fortunately, we don't. Back in the days, I worked for the bank or one of the luxury department stores. Fortunately, it was not the DDoS first and then Cloudflare after. We had Cloudflare funds, which helped us a lot in also more complex attacks where you just create your own firewall. And this was actually very recent where we noticed that I work at Ace & Tate, sell glasses, where we had some really complicated attacks where these were not just bots attacking your network, these were like full-blown scripts, creating users with usernames, passwords. It all made sense, and buying gift cards, just probably to check credit cards, whether credit cards are working. And I think this, with the complexity of this attack, I would not have known how to have solved this without having Cloudflare in front. And now I was able to, not what management yet for us, but I was able with the firewall rules just to mitigate these. Actually, within 5 minutes, maybe 10. Took me, so without Cloudflare.
10 minutes to solve something. I think we all wish it was that easy.
So without Cloudflare, I would be in trouble.
Oh, that's really nice to hear. Bots are constantly trying to find new ways to manipulate or take advantage, or I don't know, the creativity never stops because they can get something out of it. Yeah, well, that's good to hear. Anybody else?
Yeah, sure.
Sure.
I mean, something very simple and very common.
Yeah.
The server file.
Is what?
The SSL.
Ah, okay, encryption.
Yeah, it's like managing complex is a nightmare. Either you need to purchase a wildcard certificate, spread it everywhere, in a staging environment which is not recommended.
Yeah.
Renewing it every year or every couple of years. It's really a nightmare, which if it's expired, your entire system will be down.
That little tiny chink in the chain, right?
Yeah.
Kink in the chain.
And now Cloudflare, since a few years ago already, solved this big problem.
Really good example.
Okay, so on to a little bit of a different subject, culture of security. Now, we all have a responsibility for security, and everyone in this room is really focused on security. I mean, you showed up, right? You came today because you care about security. But it's not in every aspect of the organization, or sometimes it can be challenging to get security into every aspect of the organization. What are some of the ways that you've driven culture in your organization, security culture, from the bottom to the top?
Yeah, maybe I can start off with that one because as a digital agency, it's kind of, well, we're not known of being like we have security first in mind. So it's not when it comes to protecting our client environments, but more like the internal in-housing stuff. So and we were just talking about it, like, you know, we grew from 500 to 4,000 people in 5-year time, and it's really hard, you know, to have a lot of creative people, you know, then locking up their systems, you know, having like all the traffic going through one way through a SASE network, for example. So that is really hard for us, and we're still, you know, trying to develop that mindset within our company. But I think it starts with, you know, with the low-hanging fruit. So first of all, you know, give people, you know, the feeling that, you know, nothing really changed for them, and then, you know, enabling features like SASE or MDM, etc. And that is, I think, the key success for us. And yeah, it's difficult and it takes time, especially when you grow so hard. But yeah.
Yeah, growing 400 to 4,000.
Yeah.
Wrapping your mind around that is challenging.
It is insane. All over the globe.
Yeah. Okay. No, good to hear. So you're making it easier for them to to make secure choices.
Yeah, and not like being strict in the beginning, because you know, if you block everything, then people will start whining, right? So that's that doesn't help, you know. And but still, you know, you have like, you know, you work with big companies, they think or they hope that you like have your security under control, and you know that is something that, you know, you have to also give back to them. And start working on it, and that's something that you have to also give back to the organization.
Okay, no, good to hear.
Yeah, I think for us what's really interesting here is that, well, I think also mentioned by Dave is, well, you're only as strong as the weakest link, right? And the weakest link in a company of 1,000 people can be a simple email to somebody who's not a developer, who's not really tech savvy. Yeah, one click and, well, then what, right? So awareness is also a really big one. So for us, we really focus also on the security aspect, as in trainings, mandatory monthly trainings, and also really try to have an open talk about security, right? So it's not really top-down enforced. Of course, there are some things are enforced. We also try to do it in the most politely way, not to be really intrusive. But still, right, at some point you have to enforce certain rules.
Yeah, okay. No, I think that makes sense. So does anyone else have thoughts on how they've either created a really strong security culture in their organization, or maybe that you found it impossible, and maybe you can share some challenge that you guys have had creating a culture?
Yeah, I've worked into compliance in AWS for a while. In previous experience, I was working into securing more than 1,000 accounts with a tool with Cloud Custodian, and we had a very difficult challenge of having a legacy environment and trying to secure it, but there were no compliance rules when those environments were created. So we had to fine-tune, you know, try to remediate what's new and try to keep production running. So we had an interesting journey, but we manage to secure what's, cut off, date of existing resources, and remediate through fixing it or deleting what's improper with the tool. So it was very helpful for us to use.
Okay, so you got to really have some success out of using the right technology to help everyone make the good decisions.
And in that point, the toughest part is not technology, it's more culture.
Culture, yeah.
And having the communication with the end client, because client or developer, because their communication is really key. Some stuff happens from one day to the other, and one day they can deploy and the other they can't. And I think communication is the hardest challenge when talking about securing and making a change in the company.
Yeah, getting the communication out there and getting people to listen.
Yes.
That's the other side, right? How well do they hear you? Okay. Oh, did you have something on that?
Yeah, I was wondering, how did they react? Because
Not well.
Not well. That
I can
whining you
imagine.
talked
Yeah,
about.
yeah, that's the whole thing.
And at some point, everything becomes like, they always think it's securities that was involved. Like, we're talking about AWS, but then at some point they're like, runtime is not working.
Yeah.
Probably security.
Yeah, that's always the case. Yeah.
No, that's good. Okay. Anyone else have any personal stories around security culture? All right, good, yeah.
Well, I mean, security culture in a company will grow when company gets hacked, right? I'm not going to wait until the company gets hacked.
Yeah.
So then I need to be proactive and try to find a way actually to hack the company or the employee in the company by a phish campaign, but also by scanning the dark web, see if their password, personal password has been leaked. And for example, if I have a question, how many of you have two-second factor authentication on their personal profile, on their personal email? Forced. So if not all of you have a second factor authentication on personal email, and I get your password gets leaked online, then you will be triggered, right? Yeah. Now, if we are in the same company and I'm sending you a Slack message saying, hey, I find your password on the dark web and share it with you, you will freak.
Yeah.
You say, this is so scary. And then you immediately will first reset the password, second, enable second factor authentication.
I wonder, do you think it should be the responsibility of your company that you work for to pay organizations to look for your social security and your passwords and to keep you safe as a person as well as an employee? Should it be someone's responsibility to be doing that? It sounds like your organization's already adopted that, but should more people be doing that?
I think it's wise to scan the dark web.
Yeah.
If you have an account with 1Password or LastPass, now they scan the dark web for you.
Mm-hmm.
So it's always good to know what is that. Right?
Yeah.
About your content.
Yeah, no, that's a very good point.
That's interesting. Yeah, I haven't heard that, but that's a good insight.
Yeah, no, good thing for us all to adopt. Okay, very good. On to another topic that maybe everyone's tired of, but data privacy and regulations related to it. So I'm curious, how have you guys managed? I understand that both of you build a lot of services in the cloud. Cloudflare is a cloud service. It's really challenging to continue to follow the regulations and continue to do business. How have you handled this over the past few years?
So in our case, we do a lot of stuff in the private cloud, which is of course something that we fully have control over. But the way our company works is we have various products, various teams working on their own subject, and as a company we give each team quite the freedom to choose what they want to do, what's best for them. They're the experts in the software or the technologies needed. And sometimes the choice also comes up for public cloud. But then, of course, well, the security aspect, and of course, where do you store the data? For developers, sometimes it's really easy to, well, just get started. I'll handle that later, and then you don't. So monitoring is also a really big key here. So that's something that we do with all the teams. Also with the data from Cloudflare, for example, right? So we monitor and even have monitoring with public clouds on the legislation, right? Where is the data for this specific application, and is it stored properly? That's something really that yeah, for us, our approach. And that,
So monitoring, but allowing freedom. That's
yes.
That's
and it's a delicate
big
balance, right?
Yeah.
It's always like, okay, do you wait until, well, you tipple over a bit too much, right? And you have to fix, or, well, we try to prevent, of course, whenever it's possible.
It's quite interesting because you were talking about the developers with their freedom.
Yeah.
There's always like that thing, right? So we have like a lot of developers that, you know, from origin, they have a lot of freedom as well. The thing is that, you know, they just go to Netlify or to Vercel or whatever, and then just click and, oh yeah, I have my website running over here, and you can see it's my test and acceptance environment, and just let's copy over the data from production to test, because, you know, I need to test things.
Let's go.
That's what happens, right? And so the funny thing is, like a year ago, we made a complete list of all of our tools and services that we use within the cloud, and we found out that there are certain products that are actually not on EU soil. Well, there was data actually, well, not customer data, but still data inside in a different cloud, which is not in the EU. So that was a big red flag for us. And then we decided, like, okay, well, now we need to make sure that, coming back to the developer question, like, you know, don't give the freedom, and make sure that, you know, people that, you know, have the understanding of putting things on EU soil when it's needed or is GDPR compliant, and then put it in there. So we use a lot of public cloud environments. So we always try to use EU, West Europe, North Europe, you know, these kind of regions to put our data on there, and then use Cloudflare on top of that to make things fast, especially when it comes to from the US or from the APAC region, and have the websites still be quick and responsive. That's actually how we do it.
Okay, no, that's good to hear. Anybody else? Have you had challenges around data privacy, and how have you handled keeping up with regulations?
Yeah, to come back to eyewear is medical information, especially if you go to the UK or the Nordics. It is very strict. In Benelux, it's not so much. But, so you also have different legislation per country that you have to take into account.
Yeah.
How do you handle it? Step by step. So
Step by step,
step
okay.
by step. So especially for the UK, there are systems that have certain certifications, HIPAA and whatnot.
Yeah.
Very expensive tools, very ancient. They look like Outlook 97, right? So that kind of environment. We use it until we have something better. And we're getting there, step by step. So, and coming to the developer point, I think it's a very valid point. To what extent do you accept the risk that a developer has admin access to, I don't know, or a management system has access to that medical data? And to what extent, yeah, you want to do that? So I think it's also a company risk. What is accepted and what is not? I think that the size that isn't is now, it's 15 developers. Some of them, especially the tech leads, they have access to medical information. That's an accepted risk, and they know how to handle it. The assumption.
Well, security is never solved, so it's all about risk appetite. How much risk can you take, and how much risk is appropriate for your industry and where you're growing. Okay, anyone else? Stories about their experience?
Well,
Yeah.
I can do it as well.
You're going for all the chocolates, right?
Yeah,
That's
all the
big.
chocolate. You got to be upfront. Yeah, no, it's good.
I mean,
Yeah, wow.
I try to be one step ahead, not wait for the GDPR compliance to come knock on my door. And actually, we're running a project using Cloudflare Water,
Okay.
where it would be like a very place where all the data will go through. TLS will get terminated, so you have access to all the text and all the data. And at that moment, you can tokenize the data into the org and Cloudflare database on the R2. So what will happen is basically email address, phone number, customer name, or home address will be replaced with a tokenized token. Yeah. And the data itself will be stored in Cloudflare, and the token will be stored in the database or the third-party system. And with that, then, the developer can still have the access to the tokenized data, not to the data itself. So like creating this kind of library to try to test effectively.
And it allows you to have employees anywhere in the world. In the sense they can have access from anywhere because the data is still being stored where it should be, in the EU. Are you looking for a job? No, that's really good to hear. Good. Okay, I'm gonna go to the last question, and really this is a bit of an open-ended question on any Cloudflare stories or experiences where you've gotten to a really nice positive outcome, and this is a really broad question to anybody for their favorite story in regards to the technology or I don't know or the like. So anything in particular you think is worthwhile sharing?
Yeah, well, like 2 years ago during COVID, we had the Eurovision Song Festival, but it was virtually.
Oh, yeah.
So we got the assignment to build a website, which was a 3D modeling website, which was really cool. But it was like hundreds of millions of people would go there, and go all the streams. So that was really insane. And it was the first time that we've ever done something like that, especially with the amount of visitors at the same time. And eventually, we thought, okay, how can we make this really smart? Like we had to do everything from the cache, but still, you never know if it's going to work out.
Can it be big enough?
Yeah. So what we did, we also spread out like a lot of different web servers throughout the world, and then on top of that, put Cloudflare in there. There was actually 1% of load on every server because of Cloudflare. So that is like that is really nice. So everything was cached within Cloudflare. The website was performing really fast, and it was a happy customer. So yeah.
Yeah, that's a great story.
Yeah.
There's a success story available about this project.
Yes.
Yeah.
There is. Yeah. There is. We have something on the website. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
Any thoughts?
Maybe maybe a different one, but quite recently we had you as a guest as well, right?
Yes, thank you.
So we have quite some developers, and again, some companies acquired, and before COVID, we had quite regular developer days, developer meetups, internal community about developers, different stacks, languages, and so on.
Yeah.
I know also one of the challenges that we have is, the Cloudflare's portfolio is pretty big. How do you get that message across, what the possibilities are with Cloudflare to that big of an internal community? So during the last Dev Days, a couple of months back, I think, we had you as a guest. So thanks again for that. But I think it's really helpful, right? As calling it a success story, to really have the hands-on with the team, with the developers, and show the possibility with the tooling in Cloudflare. And it was really awesome.
Oh, well, I was glad to be there, and that was fun. I think it was actually the biggest room that I've ever presented to. You had 250 developers there, right?
Yeah,
something like that. Crazy. No, that was really good. Okay, so getting the message across to everyone about every security technology, I'm sure, is a challenge. So
but especially like I said, so many different products, different tech stacks, and so many products from Cloudflare that benefit in different ways, right? Not only security, also performance with the CDN and such. But there's a lot of stuff we can do from the get-go, from the dashboard, for example. But if you really want to get the most, you really have to tailor for each specific product, each endpoint, subdomain, or whatever. So, it's not a couple of guys or like 5 developers who can do that for an entire company. So we really have to have that support internally that everybody really wants to get the most out of it.
Yeah, okay, the knowledge. Yeah, create the community.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Good, well, I'll open to the room. Anybody have a story worth sharing? Oh no, I think, yes.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
I knew it. I learned about it about a month ago, so I'm very new. And I did a deep dive and tried to find out what Cloudflare was. Finding out that it's actually very big, never known about it. Then to get familiar with the product, I went into the Zero Trust features. I never actually did that. Get a VPN operational. I'm a self-employed IT consultant. Have a small development test demo environment at home, and never made it. To get it operational from somewhere else. And with Zero Trust, it took some time to get familiar with it. Learned a lot about what's possible and what's not. And now still finding out about cool features that I never knew that were available that easy. And,
you said it a lot for free, right?
Yeah.
No, that's good to hear. That's great. Thanks. Always good to have a brand new customer. Very good. Was there one last story?
Maybe I can share one.
Yeah, of course. I already know. There you go. Yeah.
So in 2019, we had a big outage with our origin servers. We had an outage and that we had to provide a disruptive service to our customers. So our CTO said that we need to build another layer of failover. In case any such incidents happen, we have this totally third-party kind of failover. So for that, what we used was Cloudflare Workers. So we pocketed the cache system into different days, and we used it when our origin server closed down. We used this state cache to serve to the customer. That quite really worked, and that to our product portfolio, we added as another layer of failover. And few of our sales guys were even able to sell that as a service to our customers.
Yeah, always on, right? You got to be always on. Just in case you couldn't hear that, it was a little hard for me to hear, but I think you said that the workers tool and being able to store sort of your environment in Cloudflare allowed you to stay always on. Even if your infrastructure was offline, there was a failover to Cloudflare and we would deliver the website.
Right.
Yeah, no, that's really good to hear. Excellent. Well, with all of those stories from today, it has been so appreciated. Thank you guys. This is really nice. And thank you for everyone else who was here to listen and learn and to contribute as well. And let's all go downstairs and have a cocktail. And there'll be some food down there and we'll get to enjoy and meet someone from Cloudflare and pick their brains. Yeah. Thank you guys.